All right, so this is lesson 1.5, day 1. And in this lesson, we are going to be looking at linear pair, adjacent, and vertical angles. So some different types of angles here in 1.5, day 1. So for our vocab, these are really, really important vocabulary words that you will definitely probably want to make a note card with so that you can get these memorized as soon as possible. Because you will see these throughout the entire year. So for the first one, adjacent means next to. They have a common vertex point where they meet, and then they have a common side, but no common interior point. So it's basically two angles that are just touching next to each other, sharing that middle ray. And so here are some examples, and then here are some non-examples. So this one is a non-example because it is talking about this angle and this angle, which is kind of inside. And we don't include inside. It's when they're next to each other. So this one, this one and this one, that one as well. And then this one and this one. They're next to each other, sharing that common ray, common side, and then the vertex. A linear pair is kind of what it sounds like, a line, and it's a pair of angles. So two angles that form a line. And they are adjacent with a non-common side but are opposite rays. Okay. And there's a non-example there because it's not forming a line. Vertical are opposite of each other and they are congruent. So it's where we've kind of got two intersecting lines and the angles opposite each other. So 3 and 4 and then 1 and 2, those are vertical. And these are not two lines intersecting. This one's kind of off on its own little thing. So they're not congruent. Those are not vertical. So can you draw an example of two angles that would have a common vertex but not be adjacent? So if you're not quite sure, you can kind of see my examples here. I would do the best I can drawing, an angle here and an angle here. So they are sharing a common vertex, but they're not adjacent. This angle and this angle, angle 1 and angle 2. A common side but not adjacent. So a common side but not adjacent. So something maybe, again, very similar to what we had there. So maybe like that one and that one, kind of sharing a common side. All right. Name a angle pair that satisfies the condition of two angles that form a linear pair. So over here, I is in the middle there. So an angle pair that, let's start with PIQ, this angle here, and that form a linear pair, and QIS, this angle here, that forms a linear pair. And so you could have lots of options. There's actually quite a few, but we would name it angle PIQ and angle QIS. Or you could do PIT, kind of show you with another color here. You could do PIT, that angle, and then TIS, and then this angle. So these two would form a linear pair. So lots of options there. And I don't know if you want me to list all of them. I'll go ahead and list them all. You really just need one, but if you want more than one, we'll kind of give you this one, and there is one more I'll give you if you want it. QIU and UIT. So there's some linear pairs. Name an angle pair that satisfies the condition of two acute vertical angles. Okay, so I'm going to kind of get rid of my colors here. And again, you can have multiple options here. I'll give you a few, but really you just need one. Angle PIU and angle R-I-S, R-I-S, P-I-U. Okay, and then if you want another pair, then you could have P-I-Q and T-I-S, P-I-Q and T-I-S. And then there's another one, but you don't have to list all of these. You could just list, again, one name and angle pair, but I'm giving you a lot of options just so that you can see kind of all of them. And then that one. Okay. So QIR and angle TIU. Okay, tell whether the angles are only adjacent, adjacent and a linear pair, or not adjacent. Okay, so let's label with kind of our colors here. 5 and 6. Together, those form a line, a linear pair. So we're going to go ahead and put adjacent and linear pair. Okay, we've got 7 and 8. So let's mark those so we can kind of visually see it. Okay, now those are not opposite each other, creating two lines intersecting. So those are not vertical. Those are not adjacent because they're not sharing a common side there. So this would just be not adjacent. And if you want to try those last two, go for it, and then you can always check when you're ready. But we have for 7 and 8, those are, oops, sorry, this one was 7 and 8, not adjacent. Getting ahead of myself. This one is SPU, SPU, and 7, which is inside, and when it's inside, it's not adjacent as well, so that's still correct. And then 7 and 5, let's take a look at 7 and 5. Those are next to each other. Are they sharing a common side and a common vertex? Yes, they are. So they are only adjacent. Okay, we're going to determine, this is our last example here, and then this will be day 2. Determine whether each statement can be assumed from the figure. Explain. So can, and we're going to label it. We're going to start at V, go to Y, go to W, this angle here, and angle TYS. Are those adjacent angles? No, they're not sharing a common side. No, comma, they don't share a common side. Okay, VYT, VYT. So let's get rid of our markings here. And then we have VYT, this angle here is that 90. Okay, well, let's look at what it would be if we did a line. And it looks like this is 90. Okay, so if this is 90 and this forms a line, then this would have to also be 90 since they form a linear pair. So, yes, comma, since angle XYV here is 90, and the measure of angle XY, should put measure here, T is 180 since it forms a line, then the measure of angle VYT is 90. Okay, this is going to be day 2. You'll see that in the next video.